Hello and welcome. If you are new here, I'm Charlie, channeler of the Pleiadian 7, here to help you uplift, ascend, find and live your purpose. And today I'm going to share with you 7 ways in which you can raise your vibration now. Stay tuned because a few of the tips I'm going to share with you towards the end are ones that I rarely see people share, but I think are so important to not only raising your vibration, but also maintaining it. So you very much know about affirmations and the power of words, right? Casting spells. So we are constantly casting spells on ourselves. And you don't need to necessarily practice affirmations, though those are fine. But it is very important in order for you to shift your vibration, to raise it, and to maintain it there is to become aware of the conversations that you have with yourself, because you're constantly casting spells on yourself with these conversations. In most cases, most people's conversations can start out all right, but in most cases, they are either fighting in their minds or rehashing old conversation, old situations, maybe fighting with someone. And so it's very important to become aware of what's going on in there. How are you talking to yourself about yourself? How are you talking to yourself about the world around you? Are you thinking and speaking poisonous things, even if you are thinking them of others? Because if you are thinking it about someone else, you're truly thinking it about yourself first and foremost. So whatever it is imperative that you become aware of the conversations going on in your head, the spells that you are casting, and start to shift those conversations. Begin to become that supportive voice for yourself. Begin to shift how you look at the world around you. Challenge your point of views, challenge your beliefs. If they're not helping you feel better, experience a greater version of reality, then you've got to go in there and just really start noticing, what is it I'm speaking to myself every single day? What kind of conversations are in there? And how can I begin to shift it? And you can start small. You can practice new conversations with yourself for a few minutes each day. You may even write them out. And when you notice this other voice coming in saying, oh, that's not really true, you're not really that kind of person, then you can say, you know what? I can be whatever kind of person I believe myself to be. And I can shift my perspective to whatever perspective I want to shift it to. That is so powerful. That's a great way to take take that inner power, really cultivate it, and to shift your vibration instantly. Bless your food, your water, yourself, and your surroundings. This is sort of goes in line with casting spells, but it is so huge because we are so focused oftentimes on doing things, on consuming things, that we do not spend enough time recognizing the value of what we've got around us. Something as simple as the water that we consume, as the food that we consume, the nourishment that we consume, to who we are and the environment around us, the place where we get to live and be in, and the people around us. Sometimes you might say, oh, what's there to bless? Or my environment is not so great, why should I bless it? It's one of those things that the ego will try to convince you that it's not important, but it makes such a huge difference, all right? So bless your food, bless your water, bless yourself, and bless your environment around you. Do it at least once a day, twice, 3 times a day, whenever you can remember it. And the more that you bless it, the more that this abundance multiplies, and the more that your vibration rises. It's just instantaneous. All of a sudden, it's like a veil has been lifted off your eyes, and you say, oh my God, there's so much goodness in my life. Right away, you can shift from whatever vibration you are to a vibration of abundance, all right? Turn off your phone. If you have to, delete your social media. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the internet has helped us connect in so many ways, but at the same time, so much of social media has been designed to be addictive, all right? Just like candy. And just like candy, if you eat too much of it, like so many people can consume too much of it, it can become not only addictive, but corrosive to your health, spiritual, mental, and emotional health. So you've got to pay attention. When you're going on social media, how do you feel? Do you just go on a hypnotic trance and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll? I am very guilty of this, and I notice the more tired I am, the more vibrationally low I am, the more I will go on social media and just scroll and sort of zombie out. This is really, really important. Turn off your phone, which brings me to the next point. Turn off your phone and go out in nature, all right? It sounds so simple, but when we turn off our phone and putting the attention, it's sort of the phone can suck up our attention. When you turn it off and you are in nature, you can redirect that attention. You can redirect and retrain your focus. This is really, really, really important because so much of our vibration has been trained into us, all right? Has been trained into us from a very young age. I'll share with you an example from my life. I was raised in an environment that was filled with a lot of psychological, emotional abuse. And so even though when I was very young, I was a very energetic and positive kid, the more of the abuse that I experienced, the more and more my vibration dropped. However, there are a few things that I would focus on throughout my young adult life until I really began to really do the inner work and really know how to switch my vibration. But in the beginning, there were a few things that I would focus on, which was making art, which was reading and daydreaming, that allowed me to shift my vibration, all right? But I had to make a conscious effort to shift my focus from the trauma and the drama unfolding in my home life. And whenever I did that, whenever I shifted that focus, my vibration shifted and I felt more hopeful. I felt better about who I was and, the possibility of life. And this definitely helped immensely. So it's really, really important to shift your focus. And oftentimes it helps to step away from your phone, to not look for inspiration there, though right now it's okay, and to look for inspiration in nature, all right? To be in awe of it and how incredible it is and how there's just such incredible beauty, power, and resilience in nature. And so practicing that, taking the time away and just staring off into the sky, staring off into the beautiful trees or whatever nature you have around you, or bodies of water if you're close to a lake or a river. When you shift that attention, you can let go of so much resistance and whoop, you can lift up that vibration and feel so much better. Okay, I'm going to continue on, but I will give you some bonus ones, all right? So it's definitely going to be over 7, but you're going to appreciate these. All right, it's really, really important, but if you are on an intentional path of ascension, you're going to start noticing that one of the things that's going to need to happen if you aren't already doing it, even though it's part of this process, is setting stronger boundaries. All right, this is so, so key because especially when you're doing the inner work and you're just so intentional, sometimes the energetic vampires around your life that will see it and like crabs in a pot, they're going to want to bring you down. So it's really, really important, all right, that you set strong boundaries. And to set some strong boundaries, you've got to know, what it is that matters to you, how you like to feel, what kind of interactions you like to have. And when you notice that you are getting around people that are negative, there are crabs in a pot, and you are truthfully observing this, then you can start to say no. And that's all right. It might mean that instead of going out sometime, you might have to say no to this person. But the more you shut the door on toxic, negative relationships, the more you open the door for positive, empowering relationships. I've gone through this throughout my whole life, this practicing setting strong boundaries, and it's incredible. It is so empowering, all right? And you're going to notice it in your life more and more. The more positive and uplifted you become, the more you want to say no to life's situations and people that just do not really feed your spirit in a positive, encouraging, and also challenge you in a positive way, right? It's not just about, sometimes when we have these toxic relationships and we want to continue them, it's because it's comfortable. That's what we've known. And the next point is we have guilt for saying no. So let go of that. When you really practice lifting up your vibration, you start to notice that some emotions, you just don't have room for them. All right? You just don't have room for this guilt. You want to make room for more well-being. Don't look for approval out there. What do I mean by this? Well, when I started my own intentional path of ascension, it was really exciting, and I started connecting with my guides in Seven, and I was downloading so much incredible information, and I was just vibrating and buzzing, and I felt so good. But there were times where I felt so good, and I'd go out there and I'd get around people who just seemed tired and sluggish and not so very happy. And then the ego would kick in and try to sort of look out there for what others were doing and what was the problem, and sort of almost looking for their approval. And it's really, really important as you raise your vibration to know that it's for you. It's not for anybody else. If others around you are noticing it and they're uplifted, because your upliftment is so unconditional, meaning it's not depending on what's happening out there, that's when you know you're doing it right. But if you're noticing that, okay, I'm feeling better, I'm practicing all these new ways of being and speaking with myself and living in the world around me, and yet when I go in some environment and I notice that others aren't feeling this way, it gets to me. That's when you know you've still got some work to do, because you can't control what others do, feel, say, behave like, all right? But you can only pay attention to you. And when you get into that state of well-being and your vibration is so tuned in and uplifted, it doesn't matter what they do, all right? And if you're really feeling a dissonance, like I said, you can always say no or walk away from somewhere, and it's totally okay to do that. But never look for the approval of others in this process of lifting up your vibration. Even for the approval of people that you notice usually are in a positive place, all right? It's all up to you to find that place, to stay there, and to also find that equilibrium when the environment around you doesn't necessarily reflect what you might be feeling. All right, this is sort of connected to what I was sharing earlier with you about toxic people. So it's really, really important. This is so huge. We are social creatures, all right? We not just like to, but we need to connect with others around us. Not only is how we have evolved, but it is how we thrive, all right? Now, oftentimes when people have such a hard time mastering their vibration, sometimes they will just completely isolate themselves from others because they know that they are themselves feeling toxic. And they know that when they get around others, their toxicity can be even more overwhelming. So sometimes people will isolate themselves in the process of healing. That's totally fine, all right? But it's not fully feasible. Not everybody's going to move to a mountain and live by themselves. We're social creatures. Even if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 different people in your life and that's it. It's really, really important though to pay attention to the vibration the people around you have as you get on an intentional path with your own vibration, with your own ascension process, all right? Because you might notice that you are doing the work and your vision is expanding. And you notice, oh no, the people around me, they're not really on this path. They are negative. They do cast a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. And they are kind of toxic, all right? Now, of course, there's no perfect people, but sometimes people are visibly toxic where they want to bring you down. I had a situation in my life recently where someone I knew could be quite toxic, but I sort of gave them a chance because I was kind of traveling close to where they were, so I decided to spend some time with them. And some incredible things were going on in my life. I mean, I was just getting great news after great news. I was just blessed. Like, I felt like I was, like bathing in energetic gold, right? It's just that pure goodness. And I noticed the more of this was happening, the sort of more seething and upset this person seemed. And I knew them well enough to know what was happening in their personal life. And I knew that they had someone very close to them that was very toxic. And they sort of were seeing them every so often. And whenever they'd come back from that person, their energy was totally shifted. Right before they'd go see them and right after, right? And I felt this energy lingering there. But I noticed instead of sort of taking charge and saying, you know what, this person is quite toxic in my life, they would sort of take on this sort of seeping toxic energy, kind of embody it, and then start to sort of project it out in the world out there. And it started to kind of affect our interactions. And so eventually their own sort of interaction with this very toxic person was affecting them so toxically that eventually our interactions became sort of, they started moving it in a toxic way. I was sort of maintaining this sort of good vibration. I said, you know what, no more, because this person is not really taking on the responsibility for noticing what they're bringing to the table. And they are choosing to bring to the table toxicity and negativity. So you see, it's not just, one person being toxic. Most people, it's usually because they have other toxic people in their life. And so it's like this chain reaction and this train that feeds itself, all right? And sometimes you've just got to take yourself out of the picture and say, you know what? You've got to, I want you to feel better. And you can feel better. Maybe you are attempting to, but you also got to notice when you have to let go of toxic people in your life so you can sort of complete this work that you've begun, right? And so oftentimes that person is you, that you've got to say, you know what, I'm starting on this intentional path. A lot of people say, well, how can I cannot let go of this relationship. And the truth is that we all have a choice. And sometimes the choices that we make in the process of upliftment are not easy ones, all right? They're not easy ones. They often require sacrifice, all right? And sometimes that sacrifice is letting go of these toxic relationships. And sometimes you can go back to them. But for a while, you might need to sort of do this inner work and be around people who are helping you see the light and brightness and possibility and a new perspective. All right. And you've got to say, you know what, I got to take a break from this relationship for a while, but I can always come back to it. Or I can do like a symbolic relationship with a certain level of communication that doesn't affect me at such a personal level. All right. And the stronger that you become in maintaining this vibration at a level where you feel like you're really in well-being and you're really inviting well-being into your life, when you really are on an intentional path, as I believe that you are if you are watching this video, you've got to do what it takes, all right? Because your inner being is calling forth to you. You got to be the good kind of selfish, is what I call the good kind of selfish, the kind of selfish that you know you're moving towards well-being, whether you are there or not in that very moment, but you have set that intention out there, and every single day you are taking baby steps, all right? And you want to make sure that you nurture yourself in that process, that you support yourself in that process, all right? Thanks so much for tuning in. I've really enjoyed connecting with you, and I look forward to connect with you again, all right? And if you'd like to, you can watch more videos here about how you can raise your vibration, connect with your guides, and really feel an incredible shift within you in your personal inner world as well as your outer world.